and welcome to the Living on Purpose Mastermind series. Today our guest is Judith M. Kosta, and I'm your host, Kelly Kalin. Let me put my glasses on so I can read this. Judith Kosta is an international unconditional love coach, seminar leader, writer, and speaker with a master's degree in psychology and psychotherapy. Judith can help you overcome your inner blocks to love, to know yourself better, to achieve your dreams, and to find love and happiness. She offers numerous workshops, retreats, and talks around the world for groups and companies. Some of her programs are Fall in Love with Yourself, Loving Your Way to Happiness, Happy You, Happy Client, Happy Company, Doing More by Working Less, and How to Find Your Soulmate. Please join me in welcoming the lovely Judith Kosta.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
I'm so glad to have you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are now in your work and your life, just in general?
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful introduction. But the reason why I'm teaching about self-love is because I didn't have any idea how to love myself. And that was a real problem in my life before. And life put me in a situation where I have to figure out that there was no other option than to really get to the point of what does it mean to love yourself? Because from outside, I had the perfect life. The great husband, the house, the good job, the money I needed. But I was totally unfulfilled. I was feeling miserable. My health was not good. And I realized that there must be something wrong. Because if everybody says that I should be happy and I'm not, what's the problem? And when we arrive to this point, we always blame ourselves. And we think that we have to fix our life. And we start looking at the outside. But as I was telling, from outside, my life was okay. Then what would be the problem that you feel depressed, that you don't have happiness? And even though you have the external circumstances, it seems that something is out of order. And I figured it out. I started doing inner work, and I became a coach, and then a past life therapist, and then I did stuff on how to open the Akashic records, that is like the book of your soul. And I continued studying and studying and studying. Previously, my life in Barcelona, I did a master in psychology. And previous to that, I was an astrologer, and my real background was totally different than that. I have an MBA, I had my company, I had a master in business because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But again, life put me in this situation where it has other plans for me. And here I am talking with you about self-love. And this is not my job, this is my passion, this is what I do. Not for living, because I love to help others to figure out how to become happier every day. And part of that, it's by loving yourself a little bit more every day too.
I think you've hit on a very common dilemma, and that we get to a point in our lives where we're like, we have everything we're supposed to have, and we're not happy. And the only place where we can turn to is on the inside. And I think that that's very important, that people know that this is prevalent. There's so many people doing this. It's a common story that we get there. There's a lot of people who are still living their lives in default. They have some level of happiness, but not really any joy that occurs in their life. And they either are too busy or too distracted. They don't stop and go, you know what? I'm just not happy. What's wrong and what's going on? So I really appreciate you bringing that up and telling us about that. And I had no idea about you did astrology and the Akashic records. That's very interesting stuff to me. Not the topic of this particular series, but I love that about you. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. And the reason why we are not happy is because sometimes we don't devote time to ourselves. I mean, before we start this conversation, think it's important to figure out what does it mean to love yourself, because it sounds really good. But what everybody asks me in a private session or in a workshop is how I do that. Mm-hmm. And I will say that the only thing that you have to do is to become your best friend. And I think that this simplifies the concept, because if you treat yourself the way you will treat your best friend, there are a lot of things that you will stop doing to yourself. And it seems simple, but it's difficult when you try to practice that, because we are used or we are raised in a different way. And we tend to confuse like pleasing others with love, or sacrifice for others with love. And we create situations in our life where we are doing just the opposite of loving ourselves. And we act in autopilot. And we do it again and again and again, because we don't have this space where we stop and think, okay, what's the best decision for me now? Because we believe that this is to be selfish, or that we don't have the permission to do that, or that the other person, I'm going to hurt his or her emotions if I do this. And we don't understand that our full responsibility is to make ourselves happy, is to love ourselves no matter what, without conditions. Why? Because when you do that, when you really love yourself no matter what, you are able to love others the same way. Then imagine how the world will be transformed if you just love yourself a little bit more, and how much love you will have to share. Then if you really want to change the world, start by changing yourself. Start by loving yourself.
I think that was beautifully said. I think the problem comes into, like you said, be your best friend. How do we be our best friend? I mean, what's the difference between what we're doing now with ourselves and what we would do with our best friend? Can you kind of go into that just a little bit?
Yeah, I was in a session with a client the other day, and he has a little girl, a daughter, and I was telling him how you treat your daughter when she's not able to walk. Are you gonna say, oh, you are silly, oh, you're not gonna do this, or I don't like you because you cannot walk? No, you are gonna take her from the floor and say, go ahead, do it again, I'm here for you, and you will empower her. And we do just the opposite. We blame ourselves. We go to an interview or a meeting with a client where we need to sell something, and it didn't go the way we want, and then we start criticizing ourselves, and we are so hard, like, you are not going to make it, you cannot do this, or you are stupid. Will you say this to your best friend or to your daughter? No. Then why you do it? Then being so judgmental and criticize yourself and blame yourself and be hard is something that we all, at a certain level, we all do. But there is a different way to live your life. And it's to be compassionate and kind, to be understanding. And to be your best friend means that no matter what you do, no matter how your life is going, you are not your circumstances. You are much more. And you have to understand that you are lovable the way you are, and that you don't need to be fixed. That you are the way you are supposed to be at the moment. Of course, we all can improve our lives. And that's the reason why I'm here talking, to tell you that there is room to do things in a different way. But you don't need to be fixed because you are perfect the way you are. And this is what exactly means loving yourself. Accept yourself as you are now.
And that's so difficult to do. We're taught differently. We're taught from the moment that our parents first start telling us no. We're taught that we're not good enough, we're not worthy. They're not doing it on purpose. Most people aren't doing it that on purpose. It's the culture. It's more than the culture. It seems to be beyond culture. It's like a human thing that we start telling our kids no, and we start with the judgment, and that judgment, I think, we get into our heads, and then we start what is it? The little tapes in our heads that go round and round and round and round, and we're finding that we're not good enough. Can you talk to that just a little bit?
Yeah, but let me tell you that even though it's very, very common, I offer private sessions, and I will say that 90% of my clients didn't have parents that raised them in a conscious way and perfect families and lots of love since they were born. Of course, our parents do the best they can. But my work is spiritual, and this work sounds different for all of the people that are listening. But what I mean by that is that you are here for a reason. You have chose this family, these parents, this life, and these challenges because this is what you need to overcome. And then start looking at the people that put all these difficulties in your life as your best teachers. Because if it wasn't for these parents, this dysfunctional family, this husband that maybe create all the difficulties in your life, you won't be making the effort or watching this interview right now to try to figure out how to love yourself a little bit more. You will be sitting at home, maybe watching TV, and that's perfect. I also watch TV. But it's important to realize that every challenge is there in your way because you need it. Because at a certain level, your soul that comes here with an agenda says, I'm going to meet these people that it's going to do this and this and this for me. And I don't have any other option than to take all the resources that I already have within me. Let's say, for example, that I have a husband that is very controlling, that doesn't allow me to do the things I want, that criticizes my opinions and my judgment and what I do, and is never happy. And I start thinking that this person is not good in my life. And maybe it's true. Maybe you should abandon the relationship. But before you do that, understand that this person is allowing you to learn how to set up boundaries, how to forgive yourself for your mistakes, how to be more compassionate with yourself, how to really express your needs and stand up for yourself. And all of this and much more is what loving yourself is about. Then this person is putting you in the situation where you have to show up and say, no, I'm not gonna continue living this way. No, I don't accept this treatment. No, you cannot continue treating me the same way because I don't deserve this. And loving yourself is learning all of this. Nobody can treat you in a way that you don't allow them to. And when you change yourself, when you go inside and start reflecting on what is not working, then you will find the strength and the power to do this with others. And your life will change forever.
A lovely point. I have another interview that I did, and I believe it was Lisa Winston that said, life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very, very powerful perspective to have.
It is.
When we feel like life is happening to us, we're being victim. We're in that victim mentality, which helps nobody. Certainly not you, if you're in that. And if you start looking at life as happening for you, you start looking at the situation and going,
yeah,
what is this happening for? What's my lesson in this? What can I learn from this? Very powerful words, very powerful perspective shift. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you are totally right. And it's true, you are not a victim. You have all the power and it's within you. And the only thing that you have to do is that everything that you have put on top, just start looking like, this is not serving me anymore. This, I don't want it. This, I took it from my parents, but it's not for now. And just try to figure out what you really want in your life. What is the life that you want to live? And start creating that. And with the power of the self-love, it's possible. Then yes, you are right. You are not a victim. You have never been, and the power is within you.
Beautiful. Thank you. What is the difference between let's go with this. What's the difference in the way conditional love looks and unconditional love looks? Because we have both. I use the term unconditional love. I really mean love because love is unconditional. But I think we need to distinguish between the two for our audience, because there are so many people out there who look at conditional love and think that that is actually love. Can you kind of give us an idea of what the difference between the two and the way they might look to us?
Yeah, I would love, because my title is Unconditional Love Coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually have to explain something similar. Yes, we are raised with the idea of conditional love. I love you if you love me. Then I expect you love me. And when you stop loving me, then I stop loving you. Then I divorce. Bye-bye. I don't love you anymore. That's not true. Love is an energy that is always present and available. And when you love, you can decide to love even in spite of the other person. Then conditional love is love that has conditions. But unconditional, as the word indicates, is without conditions. I love you no matter what. I love you because I want to love you. I don't try to possess you. I don't try to change you. I don't try to fix you. I don't try to control you. Then I'm known for being an expert on soulmates. It's my favorite topic. And when I talk about soulmates, I always say that soulmates has a bond of unconditional love between them. They are eternal partners, but the important thing about soulmates is that the person is there to help you no matter what. There is a connection that through eternity you have with several souls of people that are there and entering your life at the right moment, specifically to help you. The difference between a normal relationship and a soulmate relationship is that soulmates are always there to tend a hand, like, I'm there to help you. And they have qualities or personality or certain things that you need. And that's the reason why you met at a certain moment in time. There are so many different kinds of soulmates, and it's not the topic of today, but I want to make this distinction because usually in relationships, we see that there are dynamics that we repeat. We always have the same problem with different partners. And if it's not with my partner, it's with my boss. And if not, it's with my colleague. And it's not. Why? Because it's within me at a certain level that I attract certain circumstances to be able to act differently next time. And when I talk about relationships, I like to say that a relationship for me is when two mature individuals share the love that they already have for themselves. Then when you love yourself, you tend to establish a relationship that is totally different because you just want to share the love, the extra love that you have, so much love that you share, and you are not asking anything in return. Of course, the other person wants to do the same, and that's the reason why there is an exchange. Love is an energy that has to be given, but you have to know how to receive it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I think that, I think some of us get stuck in, if I love somebody, first of all, the love that I feel for that person actually is generated inside me. It's not what that person necessarily feels for me. It's what I'm feeling for that person. And that energy goes out to that person. Hopefully they feel it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that well, I know that I've been stuck there. And thinking that just because I love something or someone, it's going to love me back. And that's a condition, for one thing. And that, again, that love is generated inside me. It's not what that person has for me. And I think that that's something I got really stuck in for a while, for a long time. In my relationship, I was really stuck in that.
No, and it's the way we learn about relationships. I mean, when you are an adolescent and you start establishing relationships, you don't know better. You only have seen the conditional love. Then the problem is that love is everything. Love is the solution to any of your problems. Then what happens when love enters in your life? That transforms everything. From a body perspective, the hormones get like all excited and a lot of things in terms of, of changes in your body happen. Then second, that the person that loves you is able to awaken energy and it sends you a reflection of who you are. Then in a lot of relationships, what happens is for the love that you establish, you're able to love yourself. because you receive unconditional love from this person if you're lucky, lucky enough to have this kind of relationship. And then the trust and the empowerment and the confidence and the love from the other person awaken all this energy within you. And that's the reason why we establish relationships, because relationships are just, I think that Marianne Williamson says that laboratories of the spirit, where we learn how to love and how to be loved.
Yeah, I've heard you say that before.
Yeah, then I like the idea, no, of we practice in every relationship that we establish, but at the end, the reason why you are on earth, it's just to learn that, how to love and how to be loved. Then in some relationships, you are able to give more, and in some relationships, you receive a lot, but there has to be a balance. And the balance happens when you are already full of this self-love, when you get it. And it's like plugging into something, like you connect the lamp and there is light, no? Then with self-love happens the same. There is a moment where you understand that you are unique, that you are perfect, that you don't need to compare yourself, that everything you want, it's there for you. But love allows you to have this level of happiness to manifest, because it's the highest vibration in the universe. And when you get that, suddenly the world around you is transformed, because people want to hang out around others when they love themselves, because they feel comfortable. Then you have a queue of girls and boys or whatever after you, because you feel so good about yourself. Then the reason why we are talking about this is because the series are about purpose and authenticity, and then loving yourself is just that, to understand that you have a purpose to be here, to be authentically you. And this is done by this self-love, this powerful tool that we all have to transform our lives 360 degrees. It will affect everything: your finances, career, relationships, health.
Tell me more about that. How does it affect all of that?
Because, again, we talk a little bit about relationships. When you love yourself, you attract a different kind of partner. Mm-hmm. And the relationship is less tense. There are less trouble and more harmony. Because the other person also know how to respect, is not judgmental, knows how to forgive. Then it is a different kind of love. But when you love yourself also, you make choices and establish your relationships with people that demonstrate this kind of love that you have to say. Then if you are in a job that you hate, you will start thinking, this is not for me. And you will find a way to quit, but not to be just in the limbo. No, there is going to be something better for you waiting. When you take the chance of saying, loving myself is more important than being here for a salary. And you don't sacrifice yourself anymore for anyone or for anything. And with your health, this happens the same. I crossed a limit in my life where, in order to be in a relationship where I was unhappy, I started having problems of health. And I recently had surgery on the thyroid that was previously a problem for me. And I know that behind all of this, there was a problem of self-expression, because I needed to be able to say, this is what I need, this is what I want, and I'm going to tell you, no matter, very peacefully, with a lot of love, but I need to communicate and to express who I am and what I need. Because if you lose your power in any relationship that you establish with your mom, with your daughter, with your boss, or with your partner in life, you stop being yourself. And when you stop being yourself, it's impossible to be happy, because there is a part of you that will say, hey, hello, I'm here, Judith, do you remember? I want to shine with my own light. I just want to be me. And what we usually do is to make ourselves small, try to fit, and not to be ourselves. And this is our major mistake. And I believe that there are no mistakes in life, but this is something that we do by habit without realizing that we have all the power just to be who we are. There is nothing else you need to do.
Yeah. I think you make a brilliant point there. We have a tendency to vacate our values and allow people to plow over our boundaries. And when we're not in our own truth, when we're not loving ourselves with that unconditional love, we allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And we do it, like you said, we do it without even thinking about it. It's just kind of a default process. And I think that's so important that we talk about not just our values, but we know what they are. Because a lot of people, if you ask them, what are your values, they don't really know. And what is your boundary with this? They don't really know. And I think that's really important, that you take the time to know what your values are. If you have to sit down and figure it out over 6 months, figure it out. But values are something that over a lifetime, they do shift, they do change. However, they don't, it's not a drastic change. You don't go from a value of family to a value of not family overnight, or, maybe from one extent to the other of your life, you might. But generally speaking, you have the value one way or another, and you don't really escape that. Do you agree with that, or do you feel like I'm...
Yeah, values are very important. And devoting time to figure out what you think, what you believe in. But the problem, and the reason why I keep saying, and you do it even without noticing or without realizing that you are doing it, is because a lot of what we do it because we do it unconsciously. We have the conscious and the unconscious in our brain. Then imagine that from 0 to 7, nothing has like a filter. You eat everything that the teacher, your mom, your dad, the priest said as this is true. And if you don't look at this anytime in your life, you continue running your life with this software. You remember these sentences like the teacher, if you are not a good girl, you're going to be punished. If you are not a good girl, I'm not going to love you, says your mom. They say with all good intention in order to socialize and to educate you. But these things go like a stamp in your heart. And the rest of your life, you try to be a good girl, because if not, you are going to lose this love of these people that are very important for you. Then that's the problem with love, that sometimes we have ideas about love that we acquire long time ago, like 40 years ago, and we have never took the time to revisit these beliefs and these values that someone put there, but maybe right now they're obsolete. Maybe they are not serving you anymore. And that's the reason why we have to devote time to really understand and know who we are. When you are on a date, like you go out with someone and you are interested in this person, you want to know more about him or her, no? Usually you ask questions and you want to know what he likes and what is the things that he the dreams that he has, and we don't do that with ourselves. Then how are you going to love someone that you don't know who he is?
That's a good point. How can you love yourself if you don't know who you are?
Exactly. That would be difficult.
That's a lovely point. Do you have any specific tool that maybe our viewers could use or could look into more about how we could love ourselves, or dig into ourselves a little bit more so we can love ourselves more unconditionally?
Yeah, I will say that the best is in front of every decision, small or big. Ask yourself, what is the best choice for me now? What is the best decision? And don't forget the now. Because what you answer right here, right now, might be different in 2 months. What you do by asking yourself this question is to create this space where instead of reacting, as we were saying before, by habit and just continue doing things, you give yourself the opportunity to observe what is your response, what you want to say. Then you are taking your power back. Instead of saying, oh, my boss wants something from me, I have to say yes, you ask yourself, should I stay until 11 p.m. tonight in the office? Or I'm exhausted and I really need to go home and I have to say, I cannot finish the project. If your daughter is asking you to prepare something, should you ask yourself what is the best decision? And then you can include the rest of the people, but first make the decision on your own. Again, people think that loving yourself is selfish, and it's not true. You are responsible for your own happiness. And what we usually do, and I can tell you because I did it very well, is to put all this weight on top of others. We ask others what we are not able to give to ourselves. And we pretend that the partner or the colleague or the friend make ourselves happy. And that's impossible. The only person that can make yourself happy is you. And you have to start doing something about this. And this is put yourself as a priority. And if you are coherent, whatever you think, it has to be what you say and what you do. And the problem is that sometimes these three things are totally different. We feel that we have to say no, but we think that we have to say yes because of the obligation or the sacrifice or whatever situation we are in. And we end saying yes but no and feeling guilty and blaming ourselves. Then my recommendation is just become your best friend. There is nothing else that you have to do. Treat yourself as you will treat a loved one. And you see how things start changing.
That's lovely. What I got out of that was live your own truth first. You don't want to dishonor the people around you, but you must live your own truth first.
Yeah, that's totally true.
Lovely. If you could send a message to your 20-year-old self, what would that be?
Oh, wow. Take life less seriously and enjoy it more.
Okay.
Self-love is self-pleasure. And when we become adults, we forgot that we have a child inside of ourselves and that we have also the responsibility that continue enjoying life. And not everything is about paying bills and raising children and having a great career, lots of money. It's more about being happy, loving a lot, and laughing and having fun.
Thank you for that, and thank you for expanding on that. I was about to ask you that, so I appreciate that. If you were going to give the audience one piece of actionable advice today, one thing that they could do to either be more authentic or truthful with themselves or be more in love with themselves, what would that be?
I think that happiness and love are daily decisions that you have to make every day. When you start your day, then I will invite you to, when you open your eyes, not only set an intention for the day or meditate or write your dream, no, just make the conscious decision to be happy and to love yourself no matter what. And do this every day, every day, every day. With every breath you take, there is a new opportunity for more love and for more happiness. Then you can always start any minute.
I think the operative word in that is do it consciously. Consciously. Think about that. Thank you for that. Tell us about your kind offer for the audience.
Yeah, I have some meditations that I wrote. There are two especially that I want to offer for free. One is about self-love, and it's a wonderful script. Both are around 10 minutes that you can use to practice everything that we have been talking about. It's very important to understand that when you are in meditation, we allow ourselves to this space where we can connect with who we are. And that's the reason why I wanted to offer this. And the other meditation is called Go Within. And as it indicates, the idea is just to go in, to relax yourself. And I recommend to do this early in the morning when you get up, if you don't have to rush, or maybe the last thing that you do before you close your eyes at night if you don't fall asleep, or find the best moment. But I think they are beautiful and they will help you.
They sound lovely. They sound lovely. Thank you for that. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before we close today?
No, I just want to send lots of love and happiness to everyone, and really to say that your life is wonderful. And if you don't see it right now, I can tell you that I have been there too. I was not born this way and with all this wisdom. I tell everybody, just don't believe everything that everybody says to you, find your own way. And I invite you to do that. Find a way to love yourself no matter what. It has to be a way for you. If something that I have shared resonates with you, wonderful. And there are a lot of resources. Anything you want from me, please send me an email and I'll be there to recommend you a book or a resource or to give you a hand.
Thank you so much for that. Judith, thank you so much for being here today. It's been lovely talking with you. I've very much enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. The pleasure has been mine. And again, lots of love for you and for everybody that is listening and will listen in the future.
Thank you. Thank you, Living on Purpose audience. We'll see you next time.